The bill has passed, and I have all the details for you right here in this video. Also, some good news that was just released a short time ago. I have all the information you need to know, so let's get into it right away. Alright, we are off to a very busy day so far. I have some information that just hit the wire, some new information that was just released this morning, and some good news that is going to impact all of us in a really good way. So, with that being said, let's work through these headlines one at a time. Alright, so first off, I want to talk about the good news that was just released a short time ago, and this is in reference to the CPI number, or the inflation data as represented by the Consumer Price Index that was just released a short time ago. Now, get this, leading up to this release of this number, analysts and experts were anticipating a raise of anywhere between about 8.9 to 9.3% inflation for the last month. However, check this out. It actually went down a little bit. So the last reading that we received about a month ago came in at 8.5%, which is very, very high, right? Well, we were anticipating quite a bit higher than that. Once again, 8.9 to 9.3% is the range that I've been seeing here over the last few weeks and that I've been talking about over the last couple of days. However, the number that today that was just released came in at 8.3%. It's actually down over the reading we got last month. This is a really, really good sign. Maybe inflation is starting to ease a little bit. Maybe some of these inflationary pressures are starting to come down. Maybe we've hit the peak as of last month. But again, don't get me wrong. Inflation is still very, very high right now. 8.3% is still very high, but the fact of the matter is maybe we have finally peaked out and maybe we are finally going down the other side of the mountain. This would be a really great thing because I think a lot of us in this community, as well as many people around the country, are wondering, when are prices finally going to slow down? When are prices finally going to top out and start going the other way, starting to go back down, right? I think a lot of us were starting to wonder, this is getting a little bit old here, paying more for the same old things every single week, week after week, and we've been kind of wondering, well, maybe last month was finally the peak on inflation. But again, this is just one reading. It could be just a little blip, and maybe next month it's back up. We don't really know, but the fact of the matter is, it is down. The new CPI number that was just released a little while ago came in at 8.3%, which is down a little bit over the last reading about a month ago at 8.5%. This is great, right? We're on the right track. Even though it's very elevated, at least we're moving the right direction here. At least the start of it, right? At least we're not continuing to move higher at this point. Anyway, that's some great information. This has been a highly anticipated number that we've been waiting for. I've been talking about it here over the last couple of days, something we had to keep on our radar, and it came out, and here's what we have. All right, so I want to talk about the bill that also just passed. Again, some big headlines here coming out. We got to watch all this stuff very, very closely. Anyway, I'm going to get into that bill that was just passed, but really quickly before we do, if you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video. I'm doing research all day, every single day, on your behalf so that you don't need to, and making sure that you're staying updated with everything going on right now during this very busy time as information is hitting the wire literally every single day. I'm watching everything closely. I'm boiling it all down into these short videos so that you can stay updated and get all the latest information in the shortest videos possible that I release here right on the channel. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Make sure to subscribe down below. As your one and only daily advocate, I am very much dedicated to doing all this research and making sure that you know about any money, benefits, programs, checks, stimulus, anything else that may be coming out right now that you can take advantage of and that you can grab. Of course, I want to make sure that you know about it immediately. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get right into it. All right, so now let's quickly talk about the bill that has also passed. This is unbelievable, right? So on one hand, we've got inflation that's going down a little bit, teeny tiny bit. And then on the other hand, Congress is actually doing something? Wait, what? Is this a big joke? No, it's actually not. This is actually things that are really happening. Yes, things that are really happening right now. All right, so about a week or so ago, maybe a week and a half or so ago, the president came out and called on $33 billion of additional relief to Ukraine. Well, then about a few days ago, we saw that Democrats wanted to come out and jack it up to $40 billion. Well, to be fair, it's just under $40 billion. It's like $39.8 billion is where they wanted to raise it up to, an additional $7 billion above and beyond what the president wanted. All right, so, well, as we knew from yesterday, the House of Representatives was going to be taking up votes on this bill, and they did. Late last night, they held a vote on it, and it passed. They passed, yes. So here are the details on this bill. Just under $40 billion. And it actually passed with unanimous support across virtually everybody. Not everybody, but the votes were very, very skewed in one direction. The votes came in at 368 over 57. So that's very bipartisan, right? There's a lot of people right there in the House of Representatives who are in support of this. Only 57 people voted against it out of the entire House of Representatives. That's pretty good, right? So with that being said, now it is going to move on to the Senate. Of course, it needs to pass there. And as I've always said before, the Senate is usually a little bit bigger of a hurdle. I've used this analogy before, but usually the House of Representatives is kind of like just basically a big rubber stamp, right? They're like the little 6-inch hurdle, right? You don't even need to get any speed. You don't even need to jump. You basically just step over it. That's kind of like how the House of Representatives is. They pass just about anything that comes to them, right? However, the Senate, that's more like the 3.5-foot or 4-foot hurdle, right? You kind of got to get a little speed, run at it, and then you kind of got to put some effort into the jump to get over it. That's basically how the Senate is, right? So now it goes to the Senate, and we will have to see what happens, but we can probably anticipate it will probably garner the 60 votes needed to actually get it through the Senate. And then, of course, the president has already indicated he will be signing it, right? So this is actually some pretty good stuff. However, here's what's interesting. I want to throw this out there just so we can get a better glimpse as to what is actually happening. So between this nearly $40 billion that's going to be sent out, there's all kinds of money in there for all kinds of different things, humanitarian relief, all kinds of different things for Ukraine. However, there is an additional $5 billion in this bill for global food supply to actually shore up and alleviate some of the global food supply issues that are going on right now. Well, if you've been watching the channel for any length of time now, for about the last maybe 2 months or so, I've been talking about this every so often. As a result of everything going on over there, there is a massive potential for massive global food shortages because between these two countries alone, they account for about 14% of the global grain supply, as in wheat, barley, corn, things like this, right? So I actually just came across a report a couple days ago that said just in Ukraine alone, there's 25 million tons of grain locked up, and they don't know how to get it out, and they don't know when it's going to start flowing out. 25 million tons of grain. The world needs that. That's very, very important for the world food supply. I mean, think about it. With all the grains, do this if you don't believe me. Go look at the nutrition label of virtually anything that you have in your pantry, and you'll see on there wheat, barley, corn, some type of grain will be in there. If you look at the ingredients list, one of the top ingredients on virtually any type of product you have in your pantry will say one of these grains. My point is, very, very important. They have a ton of grain over there. And the world needs it, right? We need that grain. We need it to get out of those countries so that we can turn it into cereals, pastas, breads, whatever. You name it, it's in a ton of different products. So that's very important. However, I thought it was a little bit interesting that there's $5 billion within this bill to shore up and alleviate some of the global food supply shortages and kind of issues that are going on right now, right? So anyway, that's actually a pretty good thing. It's passed. Now, if you're taking tallies, just to give you a full glimpse as to what's going on here, this would actually bring the entire tally up to just under $54 billion that the United States has sent over to Ukraine in relief. So about $13.6 billion about maybe a month and a half ago or so, and then now an extra $40 billion. So it puts us just under $54 billion in total that we've been sending out. So just in case you're keeping tallies, just want to lay that out for you so you can have a glimpse as to where we're currently standing right now. And as I mentioned before, just to throw it out there so that we're all on the same page once again, we've been calling on Congress to approve $100 billion right here on the channel. Again, $54 billion going to Ukraine. Not saying they shouldn't get it. I'm just simply saying to put it into perspective, okay? So we've been calling here on the channel for Congress to approve $100 billion to send out 50 million people $2,000 in the form of a fourth stimulus check. Again, a $1,400 stimulus check sent out to 50 million people would cost $70 billion. So we're pretty much flirting with the same amount of money, right? 54 billion and 70 billion is only a spread of $16 billion. It's not that much money, right? My point is, they've already proved this much for Ukraine. I feel like, they could probably prove this much for the American people too. Now, again, I just want to make it very clear. I'm not saying that Ukraine should not get the money. They're kind of going through some things right now. They should by all means get the money. But at the same time, if Congress is going to do all this, maybe they should think about approving some money for the people here in this country as well, who are also struggling as a result of the inflation they have inflicted on us. Anyway, just saying, right? So anyway, I'm here for you. I'm advocating for you in any way, shape, or form that I possibly can be. This is the update that I have for you right now. Information hot off the wire. It's still sizzling. Don't touch it. You might want to let it cool for just a second. Anyway, I know, I'm super funny, right? Oh man, don't quit your day job, I think is what the saying means. Anyway, so my point is, these are the updates I have for you. Please enjoy your day. Stay safe out there. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share this video with your friends, family, social media. And of course, as always, go back and check out any of the other 2,500 videos or thereabouts right here on the channel. Enjoy. I'll catch you again later, and I'll look forward to reading your comments, questions, and feedback down below.